My Southern roots are strong. During the Civil War, my paternal grandfather, Frank Edgar Day, enlisted as a private in the Confederate Army when he was 16 years old and moved up in the ranks to become a brigadier general. He was captured 4 times, including at the Battle of Vicksburg in 1863, and was wounded while fighting against General Sherman at New Hope. My grandmother was born in Alabama, and she and my grandfather were married at her family plantation. When they had children of their own, they raised them deep in the heart of Texas. My father, Walter Pettis Day, was a brilliant and urbane young man who graduated from both the University of Alabama and Tulane University Medical School. He was a surgeon, soldier of fortune, and a captain in the Navy, who traveled the world as a diplomat and a medical inspector to the Far East under President Franklin Roosevelt. He spoke several languages, and his work took him to many faraway locations, such as China and Japan, where he had wonderful adventures that sounded as if they belonged in a storybook. On one memorable trip, he fought pirates from a gunboat on the Yangtze River. On another, he befriended Vahir Ravud, the last king of Siam. Father was handsome, charming, intelligent, and well-read, and these attributes made him quite the catch. He had been engaged several times, but his career and travels always came first, until he met my mother. His vagabond days ended at a cotillion in Richmond, Virginia. The sight of Frances Pearl Sudler, a beautiful Yankee from Philadelphia, turned this confirmed bachelor into an ardent suitor. At the age of 58, my father married my 30-year-old mother. She was a divorcee, something that was considered so scandalous at the time that I didn't find out until I was in my 40s. Apparently, my father's very Southern sister could handle the divorcee part, but she never recovered from the shock of having a Yankee in the family. The couple settled in Richmond, although they traveled frequently. My parents spent a lot of time in Florida, and I was born there in 1941. They called me Madeline Patricia, but I always preferred my middle name because it sounded less formal. By all accounts, I was a good little girl. I remember being spanked and sent to my room once, and that was for tilting my chair backward at the dinner table and chipping the sideboard behind me. That seems to have been the extent of my flirtation with juvenile delinquency. I played with my dog, Happy, and my cat, Fluffy, and I rode my horse, the Gray Ghost. The big drama of my childhood was that I fell off my horse and broke my hip when I was only 4 years old and had to wear an enormous body cast that, in photographs, looked like a medieval torture device. Our home was beautiful and serene. There was never an argument, not even a raised voice. My parents were well matched, although their different backgrounds made for an interesting mix of parenting. My mother was very cultivated. She spoke French, read extensively, played the piano beautifully, and excelled at embroidery and needlepoint. She was a delicate woman who frequently had what they used to call the vapors, meaning she would take to her bed. My father, on the other hand, was my best companion and playmate. Other fathers went to work, but mine had retired soon after I was born, so he was around all the time and always ready for another adventure. He took me places and told me colorful stories about his travels. I credit him with inspiring my lifelong love of Southern history and literature, of all things Southern, in fact. When my father and I went to our local Episcopal church, I was thrilled to sit in Robert E. Lee's pew. On special occasions, we traveled to George Washington's Mount Vernon to picnic on the lawn. I was in a choral group that sang Christmas carols for the last of the Confederate widows. Living in Richmond, the capital of the Confederacy, we were always conscious of the past and our family's connection to it.